Hello everyone and welcome to today's video where I will be discussing the Elon Musk biography by Ashlee Vance. So this book was published in 2015 by Virgin Books and I think I picked up my copy from Dimmicks, so I will leave links to all of those things in the description section below. So this video isn't going to be a review just because I think reviews are really subjective, and if I judge books on different criteria to you, or if I like things different to you, then I don't think my review would be very useful. So instead, I'm just going to give you a quick summary of the book so that if you haven't read it, you know what I'm talking about. And then I'm just going to jump ahead to some key topics that really, resonated with me, or that, really had an impact on me as I was reading them. And I'll just be giving my reaction or my thoughts on those topics. So one last thing before I get started, I think that you can watch this video even if you haven't read the book. So I don't think there's going to be any spoilers, firstly because a lot of what's in this book is already public knowledge, and also, like I said, I'm just going to give you a quick summary of the book and then mostly just focus on my reaction. It's not like a fiction book where I'm going to, tell you who the murderer is or anything like that. So the first chapter of the book talks about Elon's family. So it starts by talking about his maternal great-grandparents and the things that they achieved. It then talks about his grandparents and his parents and the things that they achieved. And then it talks a little bit about Elon's upbringing. Pretty standard biographical stuff. Alright, then we jump on to chapter 2, which is about ZipTo. This chapter just talks about how he had the idea for this company, where he got the money for it, and what was the process of getting it up and running, building it to be a successful company, and finally how it was sold and how Elon used his share of the profits from that sale to fund X.com. X.com would go on to become one half of PayPal. So X.com was a company that wanted to create a virtual bank. So basically like PayPal, a safe and secure way to transfer money to people without sharing your bank account or anything like that, or without having to physically go into a teller's office, which is becoming rarer today anyway. So around the time that Elon was working on X.com, there was another company called Confinity, which had a similar idea. So chapter 3 is about X.com and Confinity merging to become PayPal, and this chapter talks about some personality clashes and some differences in managerial styles and some tension that went on in the office. I'm not going to say too much more. If you want any more information, purchase the book for yourselves. So then PayPal was sold to eBay, and then the next chapters mostly look at how Elon took his share of the profits and went on to fund SpaceX, Tesla, and Solar City. And then there's one final chapter which is trying to look into the mind of Elon Musk, and it's trying to look at his worldview and what his values are and how that affects the things that he does and the way that he relates to people. So there you go, that is my summary of the book. If that sounded interesting, if I did a good job of selling it to you, links in the description if you would like to purchase it. So now I'm going to jump on ahead and talk about the key points that really resonated with me. And there's three things. There's the workload, there's big dreams, and there's a big worldview. So I'll explain what I mean by that. One of the things that frequently came up in this book is how hard Elon and everyone around him works. At every company, there's always something about people working, crazy hours, late nights, people missing, family engagements. There's one point in, I think the chapter on SpaceX, where there's been a number of problems and people are being asked to stay back and do some more work. And one of the employees says, look, we're tired and we miss our families, we want to go home. And Elon's response is, you will have plenty of time to spend with your family if the company goes bankrupt. Well, okay, he maybe didn't say it in that tone, but it's reported that he did say those words. So that gives you an idea of how hard everyone is expected to work, but also how hard Elon works. So in the chapter on ZipTo, supposedly he slept on a giant beanbag, and when people would come in the morning, he would tell them, just, you know, kick me to wake me up and I'll go back to work. So that's like, he would work, he would then just sleep in the office for a little bit and wouldn't even go home. Like, his employees would just kick him and wake him up and he'd go back to work. So yeah, that's one of the stories that came up. Another one is about regularly having to work 90-hour weeks. So a full-time working week is normally like about 36 to 38 hours. So that would be like working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, whereas in, I think, SpaceX especially, people were regularly working 90 hours a week. And there's stuff about people only lasting a few weeks or only a few months because that was just too strenuous. But I think the most sort of shocking story when it comes to work and work-life balance is the story that apparently one employee at SpaceX missed a work event to attend the birth of their child. And Elon supposedly fired this person via email and said to them, "You need to get your priorities straight. We're making history and we're trying to change the world." Okay, now if that happened, that is shocking. I think anyone who says you attended the birth of your child, you did the wrong thing, you need to get your priorities straight, I think anyone who says that needs to get their priorities straight. If that happened, I just think that is absolutely crazy, that is ridiculous. And especially Elon has 6 kids, so did he miss the birth of his kids? I sincerely hope not. So if he made that comment, I think that is just, you know, absolutely ridiculous. But I think that illustrates this issue of a lack of work-life balance. And yes, I think that PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, renewable energy, they very well could change the future of humanity, but at what cost to the individuals? So, you know, it certainly wouldn't be the first time in history that someone has made a great personal sacrifice for the good of humanity, but at what cost? And I know some people might say, oh, you'll be remembered, everyone will remember that you did this, you'll be, you know, written into the history books, but if you're dead, what does that matter to you? If you miss out on a lot of things in life, if you have an unhealthy lifestyle because you're not, you know, sleeping well or eating well because you're just, you know, working these crazy hours, is it really worth it for you on a personal level? Did you enjoy your life? And is that hope that you will be remembered in history, is that enough for you to make such a personal sacrifice? I don't claim to have the answer to that, but that's really something that I thought about as I was reading this book. So that's the first thing. The second thing is about dreaming big. And one of the things that came up quite a bit in this book was, you know, Elon having one of his big ideas and people, you know, laughing and saying that can't happen. So in particular with SpaceX, when he said, you know what, I want to, you know, found a private company which is going to get into space exploration. And lots of people said to him, you're naive, it can't work. Several people showed him compilations of rockets exploding and were like, look, this is basically what's going to happen to you. You're going to waste all your money. This is a silly idea. Get over it. But SpaceX worked. As I'm making this video in 2019, it has had 65 successful missions so far. It has delivered equipment to the International Space Station, and it has helped several governments launch satellites into space. So I'm sure it will do much more if you're watching this video in the future. But it worked. So, you know, all those people that were saying, oh, you know, it can't be done, it can. Elon got it done. And so the message that I have from this is, just because someone doesn't dream as big as you do, or just because someone doesn't understand the logistics of your plan, that doesn't mean it won't work. So don't listen to, you know, the people in your ear saying, oh, you don't know what you're doing. No, you don't know what I'm doing. If you have a plan, and like not just like some crazy vague pie in the sky kind of thing, if you know what you want to do, you've got a time frame, you've got a budget, you understand, do you need any, licensing or anything like that. If you specifically know what you want to do and you're willing to put in the work, do it. I mean, imagine if Elon had listened to all these people saying, oh, don't even try, it won't work. We wouldn't have SpaceX, we wouldn't have the possibility of maybe colonizing Mars one day, but he's really, really making that a possibility. And I'm a bit frustrated that people still haven't learned their lesson, because Elon is also talking about making reusable rockets. So he wants SpaceX to really bring down the cost of space exploration. And one of the major issues at the moment is that you just use a rocket once and then it burns up when it returns to Earth and you can't use it anymore. And he's looking at making reusable rockets. And apparently a lot of people are saying, oh no, what a silly idea. Haven't you people learned? Like, you said that to him before, like, haven't you learned by now? But I don't think this is something that's unique to Elon, because there are a number of people who were interviewed for this book and who went on the record. So that's one of the things that I like. It's not just like, a mystery source has told me blah, blah, blah. Ashlee Vance has interviewed a number of people who went on record. And one of the people who he spoke to is Larry Page, who is a friend of Elon's and the co-founder of Google. And Larry was saying, when he was talking about Google Books and scanning all of these books and making them available online, lots of people said, oh, that's a crazy idea, that will never work. But we have Google Books, we have Google Scholar. So just because someone doesn't dream as big as you, or just because they can't think of the logistics to make that plan work, that doesn't mean that no one can do it. It just means that person can't think of how to do it. There's how many other great ideas we could have had, which could have been turned into reality, but we don't have them because these innovative people were told by others, oh no, like, don't even try it, that's a crazy idea. So yeah, the second takeaway that I got from this book was, if you have a plan and if you're determined, you go for it. Just like, don't listen to the naysayers. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the third takeaway that I got from this book, and that is about having a big worldview. In particular, it talks about the way that Elon sees the world, and towards the end of the book, it really talks about how when he spoke to Ashlee, as Ashlee was writing the book, Elon insisted, what I'm doing for the future of humanity. I really want it to be possible for people to colonize other planets, in case we have to move, in case, I don't know, there's nuclear war or climate change or the sun burns out. I really want to make it possible for people to survive anything like that. That is my mission in life. So for that reason, in 2014, Tesla announced that it would be making its patents open source. So one of the ways that Elon's companies have traditionally saved money is that they do a lot of manufacturing in-house. So instead of purchasing all these different parts from all these third parties, they manufacture as much as they can in-house. And with Tesla, they've now said, with some of their intellectual property, they're going to make it open source. So if anyone else wants to make a solar-powered car or an electric car, if they want to, take that IP and, use it or improve it, go ahead, you're welcome to. You're not going to get sued. It's open source. And his justification for this is that electric cars and renewable energy are good for humanity. So it's not about me having the edge on the competition. It's not about me having a monopoly and making all this money. It's about what's good for humanity. So if I can give more people information and give them a leg up, and they can have bigger and better ideas and make more efficient cars, or I don't know, make solar powered trains or something like that, whatever, if I can help them by making this IP open source, if that's good for humanity, then that's the right thing to do. Because he insists that he has this really sort of big view about what is best for humanity, and that supposedly is what drives him. And so that kind of goes back to that email to his staff member where he's like, oh, we're trying to change the world, you need to get your priorities straight. I definitely don't think that was reasonable, but I can understand the logic behind it. And I think that you can see something from someone else's point of view without agreeing with it. So that was my summary, and those were my thoughts about the Elon Musk biography by Ashlee Vance. Let me know what you think. If you've read the book, if you think that there's something that I left out, or if there's something that really resonated with you, let me know what you think. But thank you for stopping by, and maybe I will see you next time.